analyzing Governor Okpebholo's government. One thing that you may readily say is that there seems to be a change of structure in the government that we have this period in Edo State. And how true is that? We're going to be, analyzing the issues in the next couple of minutes and see what is the intention that Governor Okpebholo really has in Edo State. Now, we have some of the latest now. The alleged shutting down of e-governance platform, in Edo State, alleged now, because the government has come up to denounce. But we still have some certain people in some quarters that believe that e-governance platform has been shut down in Edo State. Then we also have Governor Okpebholo suspends recruitment into state civil service. Then Governor Okpebholo dissolves Edo's government civil service commission. All these are some of the allegations and some of the things that you hear people talk about. And people are worried that this is already changing the structure of government in Edo State. Well, to do all this discussion this morning, we are so privileged to have, analysts here. Already in the house with us, join us virtually this morning from Sweden is Ikwamusa Igage. He's a political analyst. Mr. Ikwamusa Igage, nice to have you on this program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity once again.
All right. So what is your immediate response? I mean, as an Edolite and, perhaps as a Nigerian now, what is your immediate response when you hear that there seems to be a structural change in governance in Edo State?
Well, it's a democratic process. First of all, we had an election, so we have a new government in place now. And for me, I feel they actually want to just review some few things which they are probably not clear of, and they shouldn't make so much noise about it. We don't understand something. I think the civil servants are there to actually help them, put them through about these things that regards, because in your news brokers, you talked about them shutting down the e-gov and it's been in the hands of non-state actors. And so I think they just want to be sure about some certain things. And they should also be aware that when you're talking about this digital platform, the state government cannot host everything from start to finish. So there has to be a collaboration, either be it business to business or business to government. So I think they should just be clear about how the e-gov works, because everybody have been talking about also digitalizing the civil service, and Edo State government under the last administration has shown a very good example in that light. So I think if they are not clear about that, they should speak with the civil servant and who are well aware about how it works, and bring them up to speed so we can continue with our digitalization process in Edo State civil service.
Mr. Igage, thank you so much. Now, I think we also need to emphasize this now, because so that we really don't mislead the viewing public this morning. That was why I decided to start to say that it is an allegation, because the response that government is giving to the allegation that the e-governance has been dissolved in Edo State is that government has come up to say that no, they decided to, if you like now, lock the e-governance because they noticed that the managers of the e-governance are not, they are non-state actors. In other words, they are more or less like consultants, imported from outside the state to manage the e-governance. So that is a major concern to the government of the day, because we're talking about security issue here, and the governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, has said that this is a major security threat to governance in Edo State. Ikwamusa Igage, how would you react to that?
I think if you look at the IRF by INEC also, and I can also assure you that from start to finish, everything is not all being managed by INEC, because they definitely have to subcontract some few things that they do not have control over when it comes to technology. So I think if it's concerned about data security and the privacy of government information, that's actually being taken care of. Because I recall the last time when they unveiled the digitalization policy under the former government, the former commissioner precisely in the state. So I think his concerns are actually genuine as regards data security and privacy of government data. But I think that's really not an issue for me. But I think they just need to clear up issues for us so that the public will not be misled. I think that's where Freditwa comes in, the CPS to the government comes in, and their concerns are actually genuine. But I think the infrastructure being subcontracted in some areas based on technology, it's not really an issue. But I think if they need to be clear about it, fine, they can put things on hold and when they are done with their findings, they should let us know what the update is and how the state is going to move forward under the e-gov.
Mr. Agage, all these things happening now, one has to be very careful so that we don't begin to look at it politically and look at it,
Yeah.
within the eyes of the intention that the government of the day really has in mind. Because the government of the day in mind may have it that, okay, he really needs to bring in some innovation into governance, as it were. But politicians and perhaps politics now, we see it differently that, hey, the government is beginning to play politics with all this because we are looking at the situation whereby former administration, the administration of former Governor Basaki brought on board, and nobody complained about all these structures, all these innovations and all that. But right now, we have the complaints.
But I think for us in the mix, I think for me, it's all about communication. I think that's where the chief press secretary comes in. He has to make the communication straight and clear to the people. What's really the issue they have with e-gov? But I think they have to be clear using the media houses like ITV, EBS, NTA that are available in the state so that be no miscommunication. Because when communication is not actually very clear, people always want to say what kind of fill in the vacuum with information that are not clear. So I think this is where the chief press secretary to the state government, that's Freddie Tua, comes in to be able to make communication clear about whatever is happening with the state civil service and the e-gov for us. So that people are not actually misled and trying to think, oh, he's trying to dismantle what the previous government has done. Because to be honest, I can tell you that most of the state civil service, the state and even the federal government, most of them are still very, very much in the analog state. And Edo was actually a shining light in that respect. So I think if they have some few issues to sort out, they should sort that out. And the chief press secretary to the governor should make the communication straight to us so that there be no vacuum. Because when there is vacuum in communication, people begin to fill in their own ideas into all these things. So I think communication has to be clear and straight from the state government angle. If they even need to come on ITV or ABS or any preferred station they want to speak on, they can come and educate us about some review that they actually want to undertake. It's as simple as that. Communication is very, very key in this aspect.
We're already having that communication with the chief press secretary, Fred Itua, and we also extended invitation to him when I put up this topic. Only the fact that he just reacted and said that because of his very busy schedule this morning, he may not be able to make it on the program. But subsequently, he said he's going to come, and he has been giving, obliging us information, interviews since he came on board. And it is from his office that we got to know that the e-governance was in the hands of non-state actors. So right now, the government of the day has to put a stop to that. That hey, you cannot be a manager of this platform if you are not, if you are a non-state actors. In other words, you must belong to the civil service. You must be part of the government, not as a consultant. That's what the state government has said. But away from that now, like what I said at the introduction, that some other innovations we have, about this government is Okpebholo suspending recruitment into civil service. Now, how do you look at that, suspending recruitment into civil service? From your own point of view, what do you think is responsible for that?
Well, first of all, it's a new government, and they have to actually kind of put a pause on so many things in the state to be able to understand what's happening. And it's a new government, so they cannot just start recruiting for the now. So they have to reassess a few things. And from your intro during the municipal review, you talked about them wanting to set up dissolving the Civil Service Commission, set up a new one and all. So I think for me, they have to take stock, look at what was done previously. So many things will actually have to be on hold for a while. Why they actually take their time to understand what's happening, and if they want to do any recruitment themselves, they can go ahead with that. For me, I think that's really not an issue because they actually have to take stock of what's happening in the state civil service as regards recruitment of human capital. So for me, that's really not an issue.
Really not an issue. What about the fact that we're talking about politicians here? Politicians ordinarily may want to do things to their own political interest.
Well, when they are ready to recruit, they should ensure it's free and fair. It's fair and transparent, so that even the average Edo citizen can ensure that if they apply for a job, they can actually do get a job without having to know any politician or anybody. I think for me that's the focal point of everything. You should ensure it's transparent and free and fair. So when they are ready to recruit, either in any sector they choose to, because it's their government, it's their vision and it's their mandate for the now. So we look, so they would also let us know. But in all, I think it shouldn't be beclouded by who you know or any list from either the governor, deputy governor, or whatever, because we didn't have such before. Whereby the ordinary person who does not know anybody in government could apply for the state government job, get interviewed, do your CBT, and if you pass, definitely you're employed on merit. So I think that should be the trend, because a good standard has been set by the last administration, whether people like it or not, and we must ensure we move with that speed, in as much as they also want to review a lot of things because it's a new government. It's expected, but standard has to be maintained. And whatever they are doing, they have to be transparent, fair, and accountable to the people.
All right, so we are having a situation whereby analysis, are trailing the way the appointments are coming or the way the appointments will go. Because for most people, they would rather prefer experts, not really politicians. We don't want to say that the governor, maybe it's too early to say that the governor seems to be having difficulty now in bringing out the commissioners, letting us have in the list and all that. Apart from one or two commissioners that have been named. Now, what would you want to say, concerning how the commissioners should emerge? Because these commissioners are going to be the drivers. They will be the managers of various ministries. And once you don't put the right peg in the right hole, we really cannot we cannot record success in governance in Edo State.
Okay, yeah, I've actually been following the appointment and the list of commissioners keenly. I think the first day was inaugurated. He actually did announce the CPS. The CPS sent the list. I think two names. That Dr. Cyril Shomole for Commissioner for Health, and Barrister Samson Saige for Office of the Attorney General to the State Assembly, which was very swift. And then the State Assembly did approve those names for him. I've looked at a few of them. I think he is actually trying to ensure he puts a square peg in the square hole, because I've looked at some of the few appointments he has made. Dr. Emmanuel Yamu for that's executive chairman Subed. You could look at the retired commissioner Friday Badin. He put that as commandant of the Edo State Security Corps governance. I've looked at a few, like Dr. Cyril Shumole. Definitely, if you look at his background, it's a well-read medical professional from medical professional. So it's actually well fitted for the commissioner for health. I've looked about Samson Saige, Barrister Samson Saige. You can tell that's a square peg in a square hole. Then we also have Lucky Segbe, MD of Edo State Building and Maintenance Agency. I've looked at the appointment. Commissioner for Finance, if you check their background of all the people that are appointed, is actually doing well as regards square peg in a square hole. I think the only shortfall we find in his appointment has been the fact that there's no gender balance. They've all been male, in as much as they are competent, they have capacity. But I think there has to be a gender balance to the cabinet. We don't have any female in that cabinet. If you
Yeah,
agree with me.
yeah,
But
but,
the people
but
he actually did appointed are square peg in a square hole. They have competence and capacity, by my estimate, to deliver on the job. So we'll see how they go about it, because by their background and their educational qualification, they seem to be well suited for their portfolios they've given to them. So we're actually going to watch out and see the performance in those ministries they've actually posted them to. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and see how it goes. But I think the gender balance, the gender sensitivity has to be balanced in his cabinet. You have to take note of that.
yeah, but don't you also think it's too early to perhaps saying that there's no gender balance yet? I mean, for a government that is barely about I think about 3 weeks old now, is it not too early?
Well, I think they've had about 13 appointments. 13. That's a lot of number. And I'm just talking from the fact, the empirical evidence. I'm not trying to. I'm just being straightforward with the fact and the empirical evidence here. There are no women of substance and that know their own of the competence and capacity in the cabinet. There are none. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. It's a new government, as you said, but I'm just saying from the 13th appointments, we already know that have been confirmed in terms of commissioners and all of that that not need the state assembly confirmation. We can't find females in any of all these appointments. So for me, I think we're giving the benefit of the doubt to actually ensure it brings women of competence and capacity into the cabinet.